Welcome to the Floyd Memorial Library Podcast, where we sit down with the people who give shape, texture, and voice to life on the North Fork of Long Island. Some are rooted here by generations, others arrived by chance or choice, but all carry with them a piece of the story. We talk about what's changing, what's worth holding on to, and the currents of history, both quiet and loud, that run through this place. Today, I'm joined by...
Hello, everybody. This is Ian. I'll be hosting today's episode. I'm Ian Fleury over at the Floyd Memorial Library. Today, we're going to be talking to Chris about his background, his ancestry, growing up in New Orleans, the experience of living through Hurricane Katrina. He also reflects on his early interest in the arts, his career journey, how he found his way into libraries, and what brought him to Greenport, New York. We'll also be talking about the podcast, how he got it started, what he feels about it, and his feelings about heading out of this library on to the next. And I just wanted to say, Chris has become a very close friend of mine. He's an incredible fellow, so please sit, enjoy, listen to Chris's story and the final chapter of this iteration of the Floyd Memorial Library Podcast. Please enjoy. Thank you, Chris, for coming on your own podcast as a guest.
Oh, thank you so much. It feels interesting being on this side of
It's a little strange, right?
the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, pardon me, everybody, as it's my first time interviewing. And Chris is a seasoned veteran over here, so he'll probably dog walk me through this, but it's gonna be fun. So let's just kick it right off. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Cool. So, for people who may not know you or want to know you more, why don't you start off by talking about yourself, where you grew up, some of the experiences that shaped you, into the cool guy you are today.
Yeah.
Maybe some roots.
Yeah. Well, I was raised in New Orleans, grew up there, which we'll probably get into later, and I also had to relocate because of the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina.
Right.
And did come to East Mauritius, New York for a bit, and then went to high school in Texas. But I can go back and do my ancestry a bit. So for my ancestry, I think for both sides, there's a lot of Italian roots, and there's also some Irish immigrants that came over. Some arrived in the late 1800s or the early 1900s. My Irish ancestry came from County Roscommon, and most of my Italian ancestry came from southern Italy, like Sicily or Naples. And they came over, obviously, like many immigrants, for a better work environment, better life, and moved to New York City. Many of them lived in Little Italy. Some of them, what did they do?
Yeah, what'd they do?
Some of them were shoe polishers, street peddlers, or my great-grandfather worked at Queens Hospital shoveling coal in the basement. Some of them had like a fish store or small moving company, but they eventually would make their way out of New York City to try to get out of the tenements and spread their wings in Brooklyn. I didn't get to meet any of my great-grandparents, but I talked to my grandparents, and most of them grew up in Brooklyn and Queens. They eventually would move further out to Long Island and get a house, and my one grandfather on my mom's side worked for a company like Grumman with aircrafts, and my dad's father was a truck driver and would deliver in the city and on Long Island. And both of my grandmas also worked, one as a bookkeeper and another one as a home health assistant. And then my parents, my mom grew up in Smithtown and my dad grew up in Holbrook. So they kind of had more of that suburban lifestyle growing up. And I think they met at Stony Brook,
Okay.
working at the hospital there.
They were both working at the hospital there?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so they met there, and my dad went into marine science and oceanography. My mom was my mom was into science as well, but they eventually would make their way to New Orleans because my dad got a position at Tulane University. So that's how I ended up growing up down there. And my mom taught science in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then she eventually switched to go to library school for library science. So she became a librarian. And then to myself, yeah, growing up in New Orleans was a interesting experience. And I think it was a good experience as a kid. There was a lot of activities to do.
Mm-hmm.
You had Mardi Gras.
Yeah, man.
And you have all the good food, like
Oh, yeah.
Music, jazz, a lot of museums. So growing up there was fun. And what else did I do?
How old were you when you got to New Orleans?
I was one.
Right out the gate. Yeah, yeah.
Right at the gate. Well, I was born in Beaumont, Texas.
Oh, wow.
So they had initially moved down there briefly for a job, and then we moved to New Orleans.
Doing hopscotch across the U.S.
Yeah.
Texas, New Orleans. And then when you were going to high school in New Orleans, right?
Well, I was starting high school. That's when Katrina.
Okay.
But I went through elementary school, middle school, and then, well, I started 8th grade in New Orleans, but then we had Hurricane Katrina.
Mm-hmm.
But I did some public school, and then I did a little Catholic school in New Orleans. Because, I mean, from what I've heard, just I think all those public schools now are charter schools in New Orleans.
Mm.
But there wasn't the best reputation for public schools, so my parents were able to afford to send me to Catholic school. They couldn't afford private school like Newman, which was one of the schools there.
Okay.
So I went to Catholic school. That was interesting. They had a lot of the nuns, Sister Mary Ellen.
You really felt the difference between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience overall. Played a lot of sports.
Like what?
Basketball.
Nice.
Baseball. There was the Carlton Boosters League in New Orleans. I played basketball, baseball, soccer, and what else did I do? Well, the other fun things I remember doing was just, I would hang outside a bit in the neighborhood, though I feel like at that time, New Orleans was the murder capital of the U.S., so my parents were like, don't wander too far into other neighborhoods, but I was allowed to play on the street outside and hung out with friends there. We'd ride the bike, and then we had a Blockbuster and a Domino's.
Nice.
And
that's all you need.
We go over there. That was like a big thing on Friday or on the weekend. We go over to Blockbuster and get some candy and get a movie or video game, and then have a sleepover. What else did I do? I went to like camps, like a nature camp and some other camps that were fun, but school was okay. I felt like I was a pretty good student overall. Mm-hmm. I started, I don't know, into 3rd grade. Well, actually, that was another thing, was because my dad's a professor, mm-hmm. so he had a sabbatical, and we ended up going to Sweden. So I was in Stockholm for 3rd grade.
Dang.
Yeah. So then, I don't know, that was a good experience being over there. It was an international school, and mm-hmm. so it spoke English, but I was trying to learn Swedish at the same time.
In 3rd grade.
Oh, yeah.
Champion.
I tried. No, that was good, and then came back and did more school in New Orleans. Yeah, school was okay.
Did you have like a favorite subject throughout?
I'd say social studies was
pretty
fun. I did like history. I didn't. Probably math was my least favorite.
Heard.
Yeah.
But I hear you on the history, as we're currently in the history room of the library.
Yes.
Makes total sense. But so 8th grade comes around, Hurricane Katrina hits, right? So then what was the plan after that? What was kind of like, how did that affect you guys? And, where'd you end up going to high school?
Yeah, so I was in 8th grade and started school in August, and then we would usually have tons of hurricanes or things that would be in the area. So it was kind of just like, oh, this is another hurricane. So sometimes we would just bring our dog, and I brought my homework from school, and this time we just left and went to Baton Rouge. We didn't think anything of it. We left, I think it was the day or the day before that.
Yeah. This isn't going to be so bad.
Yeah, this is just another hurricane that's going to go through. But we were in Baton Rouge, and we were by LSU, this university there. But then we started seeing all the news and the flooding and the Louisiana Superdome. And then we knew that the levees had broke and that we weren't sure what was going to happen, how long we were going to be in Baton Rouge. So maybe I was going to start school there for 8th grade. But I was able to look on a FEMA map and see that find our neighborhood. And I could see that the water was covering the cars in that area. So I knew that our neighborhood was flooded. So from there, I mean, from my age, I wasn't thinking too much of it, but I was just like, oh, I don't have to do homework.
Shout out, yeah.
I was just like, okay, this is a good vacation. But then my parents were talking about, should we put him in school in Baton Rouge? And then I have an aunt and uncle up here on Long Island in East Mauritius, and they were saying, oh, there's a house across the street. I could start school up here. So it was like a month later that we decided to come up here. My parents said we're going to leave New Orleans, and we left the house as is, and I started 8th grade in East Mauritius, and that was a interesting and great experience because I was, I think, the only like refugee or Hurricane Katrina person. So everyone was like, oh, you're from Katrina and all this, and they were donating clothes and food, and
oh wow,
yeah, they were helpful in East Mauritius with that. Yeah,
East Mauritius is a great town.
Yeah.
So you can't, New Orleans, straight to East Mauritius. What was the how did the vibe change? Like how was the feeling different as you moved across?
I feel like, you mean coming into Long Island?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was game, and not that I would have stayed in New Orleans and finished high school there.
For sure.
I was on a chess club and some other things, tennis, but I think at that time I had always enjoyed coming to Long Island and seeing my aunt and uncle, and thought it would be a good change going from a bigger city, well, actually a big city, to a small town. And it was interesting in a way getting there and being able to just explore and walk around and go to the deli and get a egg and cheese sandwich, hanging out with friends there. And it was a nice kind of small town experience from what I was growing up in. So that was good. And
well, how long did you end up in East Mauritius?
I was there for 8th grade, and then my dad got a job in Texas. So, but before that, when I was up here in East Mauritius for a year, they still had to deal with the house down in New Orleans, so they had to go down with the hazmat stuff on and clear out the house. And we had to throw out pretty much everything from what was in the house, because the water was like way up in the house for weeks because it just wasn't draining. So we lost pretty much everything except that there was something we could clean that was metal. But then we sold the house to a developer for really cheap, so we lost a lot of money on that. But I think for me, it didn't really hit at that time that I had lost all my stuff in New Orleans, because it was just, I was in 8th grade and trying to just enjoy school and that time. But getting back to Texas, so they had gotten a job at Texas A&M, and we were going to move to Galveston, Texas, which is right on the water. But my parents were saying we'd rather be inland after the experience.
Stay away from the water.
Yeah. So we were in College Station, which is the main campus, which was a few hours inland north of Houston. And it was a good thing that we did that, because that fall, a hurricane hit Galveston and devastated quite a bit of the area.
Well, they learned. Yeah.
So we moved down there, and that was another whole experience, because Texas is different, and this was a college town, but just moving to, it was more like the prairies, more open. It was still, it was different from New Orleans and East Mauritius.
Not even out of high school yet, you've experienced all three of the major environments. Yeah.
But yeah, I started 9th grade there, and it was interesting because everything was more, being in New Orleans and East Mauritius, things were older and established, whereas College Station, it was 2006, 2007, things were growing at that time. I think in Texas, a lot of people were moving there, and there was a lot of new construction, subdivisions. So everything was like new, what felt like when I got there. But starting high school there was interesting. It's not like going to a small town in Texas where you might think like, oh, I'm going to see all these cowboys and
sure.
and stuff. But it still had a little bit of that culture. But it was much more of a college town. You had kids that were professors. Kids were there. But yeah, I started there at A&M Consolidated High School. And it was I don't know, high school was a interesting time period.
How so?
I don't know. It just, well, I'm trying to think, for 9th grade, I had started classes and was trying to get involved and meet new people. And I had played on the tennis team there. That's kind of how I started to meet people. And took some art classes and met some friends that way. But I feel like I met most of my friends through tennis. But yeah, it's just always, in high school's always interesting. You have different groups, at the cafeteria.
For sure,
very cliquey in ways. And I felt like I hung out more with people that played sports or some of the artists.
Yeah.
As well. But yeah, it was, I had some good teachers. I took a Spanish class and didn't do well in that.
I hear you. Same here.
Didn't do too well in math, but I enjoyed the science, English, history.
History still being top of the,
I played varsity tennis, and yeah, that was a good experience.
Nice. And I feel like, was it around high school where, with being interested in history and I, before you mentioned that you like to go to Blockbuster with friends all the time, and that seems like a big memory for you. How did all those experiences sort of culminate into you becoming a librarian with such a focus in art as well?
Yeah, I think, well, my parents were always supportive in what I was interested in, and I think New Orleans probably influenced me a lot with the arts early on, going to the museums, and they had I forgot what it was called. They had an event at night in New Orleans called the White something at night. I'm trying to remember what it was, but they had some gallery art events at night. And I started getting interested in art then, maybe middle school, high school, like painting and doing other things like that. The video and film kind of came later. I mean, I watched film.
Mm-hmm.
I would watch and enjoy films, but I wasn't serious
Yeah.
about it. I watch all the blockbuster hits. And I've always enjoyed libraries. I would always go to the library as a kid. But the arts came at that time, and I would continue painting. I focused mostly on painting, and then in high school took a lot of art classes. So I feel like at that time I had an art teacher, Mr. Maxwell
Okay.
was his name, and he was very helpful with what I created in art class. He kind of let me do what we had assignments, but we kind of could it was very open that way. I could paint different things and do other projects. So that was when I got really interested in the arts. And my mom helped me be supportive with that as well, because she also she's a librarian now, but she's an artist as well and paints.
Mm-hmm.
But coming out of high school, I was thinking about doing architecture.
Oh, wow.
Also, because I was also interested in development and urban development. I think growing up in New Orleans, seeing some of that, and then seeing all the new construction in College Station as this more Western place. Texas was growing at that time. It's still growing, but I wanted to go into urban planning or architecture, but I wasn't sure coming out of high school how I was going to do that. But then I was also getting people saying, oh, you should go into the arts and be an artist.
Mm-hmm.
So I had applied to some schools for just the general studies, but I ended up starting at community college and taking some art classes there, still figuring out.
That's still in Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was in Bryan, College Station, Texas area still.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there for 2 years, took more art classes, took an anthropology class, and I wanted to still do urban planning, but I think I still got more support with the arts. I did drawing, photography, so they were very supportive, the teachers there, and I decided to apply to art school for my undergrad, a few places around the country.
Mm-hmm.
I was planning on going to SVA in New York City.
Oh, okay.
For just studio arts. But I had applied to some other places, and I applied in Montreal, Canada. So last minute, I was going to SVA, signed everything, and then last minute I changed to Concordia University.
Wow.
In Montreal for studio arts. And some people asked me why Canada, and I think at that time I was like, I want to see something different and kind of get out of the country.
For sure.
And that was 2012.
Yeah.
So I decided to go, and then the other thing was the tuition wasn't crazy like a lot of in the U.S.
And does Canada? I heard Canada has a lot of sponsorship for artists. It's
Yeah,
very
they do.
art positive.
Yeah, it's still supportive with that, and the tuition was cheap at that time. I don't know what it is now, but
Yeah.
that was good. So yeah, I started my studio arts in Montreal, Canada, and I think I like the city. When I visited, it's kind of like a hybrid, like in North America, but also has a European influence.
Sure.
And the French speaking. So I liked that part and started school there. And I got to say it was tough in the beginning. My first year, I was taking a bunch of art classes
Mm-hmm.
but it was tough meeting people.
Okay.
And just I was living in the downtown area of Montreal and trying to, I would just kind of roam around, hit up different foodie places, go to Walensky's and these other places. They they always have the competition with the Montreal bagel and the New York bagel, and then there was the Cat's Deli in New York, and then there was Schwartz's Deli. You get the smoked meat there.
Is it too controversial for me to ask you what your stance is?
I lean to Montreal.
Ooh, we got to get to Montreal, people. Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah, but that was fun there. I was there for 3 years doing my undergrad.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious because you had so much experience like moving around. What made it different in Montreal that you felt like it was harder to connect with people?
Well, the language for one thing.
Oh,
but
sure.
People said you need to learn it, and I should have. I kind of regret not putting more effort into that. And the classes were in English, but they would speak a little bit in French. Some of the students,
For sure.
But it just felt like I could get by, and everyone was pretty bilingual.
Okay.
Though I did get some people that were kind of like, no, I'm not going to talk to you. But it was a little bit hard. The social atmosphere there was hard. There was tons of things to do.
Mm-hmm.
There was just the museums and food and everything. It's a very foodie city.
Yeah.
So that was all enjoyable. And I was doing the classes, but at the same time, I was like, oh, this is hard. I'm not meeting anyone. And maybe I'll apply back in the U.S.
But luckily you stayed.
Yeah.
Luckily you stayed. And for 3 years, you said, right?
3 years.
3 years. So what ended up making you stay by the second year? What kind of changed?
I started meeting other friends and in those classes and I think I put more effort into talking with people in the studio classes and
Sure.
started hanging out with some friends I met up there and going to places and started enjoying it more.
Mm-hmm. And at this time, your focus, was it still painting, or is this like where you've found a deeper interest in film?
This was definitely the second year was when I found a deeper interest in film.
Cool.
First year was painting. I majored in studio arts with a concentration in painting, but I started taking other multidisciplinary classes. There was an Art X class with a few teachers that were very helpful and with pushing me with the video art at that time, and then I still would go to. There were a few places in Montreal. They were not like blockbusters, but this was
Blockbuster.
Oh, Videotron. No, that was that was like Comcast. But there were still a few places left at that time. I'm trying to think because that was like 2014.
Okay.
They were starting to fade at that time.
Yeah.
But there were still a few like used or rental places. So I'd go to those places still and get a lot of movies. That's when I started just grabbing a bunch of movies and going through them, foreign films and other classics. And then I was taking that Art X class my second year and starting to do video art. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll switch to this over painting.
Yeah.
And I'm running out of storage space with the painting. I got all these big canvases, and that was another thing that was annoying with I love painting, but the video art was fun and you could have everything on a
little card. Yeah.
So that was good. And my third year was good. I've wrapped up my projects there, painting and video. And then I actually wanted to stay because I think in Canada they usually give you a year or two to try to find a job.
Oh.
In Quebec, the province or like the state in the U.S. But I didn't have much. I didn't know the language, and maybe I'd have to work in the back of a kitchen somewhere.
Right.
And I ended up knowing I had to come back to the U.S., so that by that time my parents were in Florida.
Okay.
So I moved back home with them, figuring out what I wanted to do. I worked as a line cook.
It's like a connect the dots.
Yeah. Worked as a line cook, cooking burgers at the University of Florida.
Yeah.
Some of the
Okay.
football players making cookies. And for that year, figuring out, oh, should I go to do a master's in fine arts? Should I change it to library science?
Mm.
But I ended up deciding on going to do a MFA at University of Florida,
Okay.
art and technology. So I changed it a bit, not just studio arts or painting, art and technology, to have a little more diverse focus. So that could be like animation, video. So I started that in 2017. I can't remember. But that was a good experience
Yeah. How long were you in Florida?
till 29. Like it was 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Well, 4 years, including that period in
cookies.
between the cookies and burgers.
Yeah. Cool. So you just kept down the art path in Florida.
I kept down the art path, and that's in Gainesville, Florida. So that was another college town.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of a dramatic change from Montreal.
For sure.
It was a little tough in the beginning, and it's kind of Gainesville's interesting. It's kind of just like a small college town, very woodsy, and they call it the swamp.
The temperature change alone would kill me, man. I don't know how you went from Canada to Florida in the swamp.
Yeah,
by the way.
I mean, I grew up in New Orleans,
Right.
as you said, and that was muggy and humid. And I was fine playing sports and that and stuff, but I think I fell in love with the cold weather
Yeah.
in Montreal and would eventually make my way back up to the Northeast, but was in Florida for 4 years.
Nice. What kind of things did you take away from the MFA in art and technology? Like you said that, that they had a lot of offerings, animation, how did that sort of build your current film background? I feel like I know you as the go-to film guy, every movie under the sun. And you have your own projects as well. How did that experience in Florida sort of shape that?
Well, like I said, it started in Montreal with getting into the film and starting to do that. But I think I started really getting more serious with my MFA and some of the videos I was doing there. I was trying to think a little deeper about what I was doing. I had better equipment. And my professor, Jack Stenner, was helpful with pushing me in different directions and thinking a little bit outside the box and what I could do better and improving my videos over that time. Because, I had a lot of ideas in my head, and I think from different movies.
Yeah.
And would try to put that into my films. And I was just, a lot of my early films I worked on just using myself in the video because I didn't think to like ask other people, but maybe I just wanted to work with myself at that time.
Sure.
But would just have different objects and this person kind of working in this closed space, trying to work through different things, battling different things and trying to maybe escape certain things in the video. But there was a lot of different things in the beginning, and then I think I started narrowing it down with my MFA and concentrating it more on certain things. And I think I mentioned this a while ago to you with my thesis. I started getting interested in the theater of the absurd and absurdism, and wanted to focus on that for my thesis and just thinking about the world differently.
Sure.
So my video at that time, I think it's called Noisy, Violent Streams of Silence, which I was happy with that video, creating this kind of space that's unfamiliar and the person's interacting in it. You kind of have these, it's like a breathing machine almost in a way that this person's in and trying to interact in that space, but also it was kind of a way of thinking about the world and how we interact with the world and kind of blocking out all this information.
Yeah.
This bombardment of information and thinking in a way, I was thinking of the term idiotism.
Yeah.
And how we might think differently to escape from the general norm of society and thinking as the idiot savant or the savant kind of, and how we could interact with the world but still not let it control us.
Sure.
In a way.
The timing makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
2016 to 2019, and you having a project like that, it's almost like you saw the future, 2019 leading up to old 2020.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so you honed your craft. You're looking for, deeper ways to express yourself through film. But, fresh out of 2019, what are we looking at?
Let's see. I was going to try to make it as an artist in a way, at that time, probably a long story, but my parents have a place in Portland, Maine. So I decided after that, it's like, I'd rather be up in the Northeast.
That cold weather.
Cold weather. I'll go up to Maine and see what happens up there. I think that summer I was trying to look for a job at the same time. So I was applying to jobs. Whole Foods rejected me.
Oh, Whole Foods.
Whole Foods, but...
Look at them now.
I applied to some other places. I was like, I'll get something in the service. Well, actually, the other thing was I had taught 2 semesters, which usually with an MFA, that's the top level. You can teach college art classes. And they gave us some classes. We took a class on how to be a professor and get your resume and all that stuff ready. So I taught two time-based classes, college students, which was interesting.
Oh, wicked.
But I just wasn't feeling it as a teacher. And I've heard stories with a lot of colleges now, it's mostly adjunct. So you don't get paid much and you have to teach a lot of classes. So I was like, I don't think I'm going to go that way. But I think some other of my colleagues have done that. But I said, no, I'm going to work a bit in the service industry and try to create artwork. So I started at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Being a barista. And that was kind of interesting for me because I think the manager at the time was a little leery of me because I'm not the most, I think I've gotten better, but I wasn't the most outspoken, or I had to be upfront with customer service. I did do a little bit early on, but having to be loud and customer service, making
a boisterous Starbucks.
Yeah,
I gotta hear you over everybody.
Welcome to Starbucks.
Yeah.
They're like, you gotta raise your voice there a bit.
And again, look at you now. You have your own podcast.
I know. I'm like
full
circle. 360. But I worked there for 3 years. And I was thinking to myself, well, it's better pay than working as an adjunct. And you get all the health insurance. And Starbucks was good that way, especially during COVID.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story. But I was a downtown location in Portland. And the drive-thrus were a little bit outside of the city. So we actually got to close for like 3 or 4 months and we got paid.
Nice.
Whereas the drive-thru ones, they had to keep working. So that was great. But I did that and still created videos, submitted to film festivals. which I got in quite a few, and that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I was getting a little fidgety in
Sure.
the Starbucks role, and the art stuff was fun and good to do. But that time during COVID, which I mean, some people probably disagree with me, but I think that was a great time personally for me to think.
It was nice to have some time off,
It was
right?
nice to have time off,
Yeah.
away from work, away from people.
For sure. Agreed. I'm with you.
I got to think and do some, I mean, I still did. It gave me time to like do some hobbies or do some other things at home
Mm-hmm.
and think like, oh, should I continue doing this with Starbucks or should I try to think of something else? And then I was like, oh, maybe I do enjoy libraries. So
Okay.
that's kind of how I got into the library part.
It was the COVID breakup.
Yeah.
That sort of. So, what happened in that time that woke you up to libraries?
Though I did think of that libraries before I did my MFA. I was
Right. It
thinking
was in the
about
back of your
it
head.
then.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, no, I still want to do a master's in fine arts. So I did that. But that came back to me. I was like, this is a dead end.
Mm.
I got to think of something else to do. And I've always enjoyed libraries. I'd go to libraries wherever, because that was another thing. I did get to travel quite a bit as a kid as well when I was obviously in Sweden, but going back to Italy and other parts of Europe, and Japan and other places. But I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Okay. But you've been all over.
Yeah, I've been all over. I've had the opportunity to do that because of my dad's job as a professor and going to different conferences, and I got to tag along
Mm-hmm.
on those trips. But getting back to libraries, I've always visited them, and kind of they were fun to visit. And my mom was working as a librarian then too, so I was like, oh, maybe I'll go do a master's in library science. Started during COVID.
There you go.
So I applied and started at University of Kentucky,
Okay.
but it was online.
I was gonna say I don't remember Kentucky in your journeys.
I've never been to Kentucky.
Okay.
Still.
Okay.
Nothing personal.
In spirit.
Yeah, it's. I've heard good things. I got the bourbon and the
Yeah.
But
The fried chicken.
fried chicken.
That Colonel Sanders.
Yeah. So I started that online during COVID, and that was 2 years. So I finished in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So I did, and that was fun. I didn't mind doing the online class. I know some people like doing it in person, which is good to do, but for this it was easy to
Mm-hmm.
not have to travel and go all into. You did all your assignments online and everything. And at that point I was just picking the general.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure, like public, academic, special collection. So I picked general, but towards the end of that I was thinking special collections was good, but at the same time I was getting some more opportunities in public libraries. So that's kind of how the...
Yeah. Which, for those who don't know, they're totally, absolutely, completely different. The different kinds of libraries, public, academic. But I feel like maybe you could say that you're a soft-spoken guy, but I think you're a very personable, social guy. You do great with this podcast. People love to talk to you. Is that part of what pulled you a little more towards public libraries?
Yeah, I think so. Though I feel like early on, I would have been like, oh, just
Throw me in an office.
come me in an office in the back and I'll do a bunch of work.
Right.
But I think the public libraries I found were important because you do interact more with the public, and you're not just working with faculty or students. If dealing with people, and they have a lot of variety of questions. So I thought that would be fun and interesting work. And I've always enjoyed working with, obviously, this room. We're in the local history room. We're surrounded by books. Mm-hmm. And, well, the opportunity, I don't know if I should, am I jumping?
No, are you going to talk about?
I was like, how I started applying for library jobs.
Yeah. No, go for it. Yeah, because that's after you got the degree.
Yeah.
Obviously. And then you were looking close to you, I imagine.
Well, I was looking in Maine, but I was looking in the Northeast. Well, actually, I was looking in Maine, trying to find something there, but I had to keep expanding it.
Sure.
So I expanded it to the whole Northeast. And there weren't a lot of jobs in Maine at the time. There probably still aren't a lot of library jobs, but I was applying to Massachusetts and New York, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Vermont. But for some reason, I started getting a lot of interviews on Long Island.
It was calling you back.
Yeah, I was like, am I going back to Long Island? And when my parents grew up and came to East Mauritius. So yeah, I had interviews at West Hampton, Southampton, and then Floyd Memorial Library.
Right here.
So I was like, well, I think it'll be my first real library job. So I need the opportunity to get experience. I had done an internship at University of Southern Maine working in their archives. So I was still interested in the special collections. Mm-hmm. But I ended up getting the job here in 2022.
Yeah.
And starting in August.
It's pretty amazing too, because I feel like a lot of other librarians I talk to, it is a tough process, like you're saying. Finding an open job in libraries is very difficult. People, will stay in those positions for a long time, but you just so happen to find, head of reference in a nice little coastal small town.
Yeah.
What was it like? Well, it is pretty amazing because this being your first full-time library position and seeing how you've improved the collection here and made it easy for people to come in and look through our local history and even record their own history. How has this experience been for you, being your first library position?
No, it's been great. When I first got here, I thought the area is beautiful and coastal community, and I had my aunt and uncle, and I still have other family here that were close by. But just getting to know the area, I just thought the community was nice, and though it was tough, everyone said before I got here, they're like, good luck with housing.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. So, that it is expensive out here. So but I was like, I got to make it work with my salary and everything. So I was able to find a place and work here. But I think getting involved in the community and the staff, meeting you, I remember meeting you the first day here, and that was a good experience. And we had just getting to know the community, the people that were coming in here, and the other staff. We had the fun Halloween trunk or treat.
Oh yeah,
I remember that. I was Darth Vader and you were
Obi-Wan. Yeah.
We have those pictures and we were using the lightsabers outside at night. That was fun. And yeah, just getting the first year here was just trying to get to know the people in the community and the collection. And the local history room, I felt like when I got here was like it needed some help. It was kind of like a storage room. So just trying to clean that up and get people to be able to come in here and look at local history was important.
Yeah.
But those were some of the beginning.
Yeah. The way that you sunk into the community here is interesting, because it's obvious, at least to me, and I'm sure to many people, that you care a lot about the town, and you've done a lot of work for it, even with the Historical Society.
Yes.
What are some of the things you did along the way that helped you ingratiate yourself, and what has the experience been like?
Yeah, so just to talk on I think after a year here, I started volunteering with the Sterling Historical Society.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that would be important with working in the local history room here, so I started volunteering there. Met Carlos de Jesus, Carol Mansell, and other people in the community, and would eventually become a board member there for the next 3 years, and helping out them with grants and other events, and just Maritime Festival and Townsend Manor. So that was one thing. And then I think my first year, it was almost it wasn't like when I was in my undergrad in Montreal. It was different because I was comfortable here, getting to know people, because it was it's a small village. But I think I focused more on the collection, because that was the other thing with just making with the Dewey Decimal.
Right.
That was another thing.
The big shift to Dewey.
The big shift to Dewey, and organizing the local history room, and just helping with our nonfiction collection and improving that.
Which I don't know the specific numbers, but I will say, having worked with Chris, the nonfiction section he's in charge of has skyrocketed. Of all the libraries I've worked in, we have one of the more popular nonfiction sections in the North Fork, if not, Suffolk County.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you on
Thanks.
that. Great work first year, right out the gate.
Yes, that was the first year. And then I think after the first year, we were talking about other things we could do, maybe other programs. And I think that next spring we had fixed you were working on getting the computer lab area going. And then we were thinking some other programs, like we were even thinking about a cooking show. And
yeah.
But then we were thinking maybe a podcast would be fun. And that was one of that was kind of how that got started.
A film project would have been cool, but this was a nice, for lack of better terms, cheap way to do a creative project within the library together.
Yeah. And it was just interviewing people. And you want me to talk about how the podcast, a little bit more about how the podcast?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm sure that ties into your story, especially getting to know the people here. You've interviewed it's somewhere over
244.
Yeah, that's a great sample size. You've gotten to know the town person by person. So
yeah, that was over the next about 2.5 years of those episodes. I mean, I didn't have any experience in it, and I had to ask you for what equipment we needed and what we could use to record on. So we got all that set up, and then just getting started, kind of figuring out how long they would be, the intro music, and then I started reaching out to people. And I thought the mayor would be a good first one to start off in the village, and then get other local people, the historian, and just other people in the community that I knew. And it helped working at Sterling Historical, because I got to know a lot of the locals that grew up here and wanted to get them on to share their story as well.
I want to come back to that and ask you more about certain people that you've talked to or stories that stuck with you. But are there any more projects or things that you've worked on here that mean a lot to you? Or just that stand out to you? I know the Halloween was wicked. Star Wars Halloween podcast.
I'm trying to think of. Well, I mean, the recent program I started with the film.
Oh yeah, your movie night.
The movie nights have been that's only been since the summer, but that's been fun just because I'm a cinephile or film buff in a way where I like to curate a selection of films. And I think we've slowly grown the audience since May.
Yeah.
And now we're in August, and we have some for September and October. And it's a nice mix of international and classics. And I throw in a few contemporary, but we might get into current film topics
Sure.
later on why I kind of keep it more international and classics for the most part. But that's been fun, getting to see the people come to that and enjoy, because that was something also that Poppy Johnson, one of the former reference and head of adult, was doing here. So I was glad to start that up again. I'm trying to think. Oh, also, we got the scanner, and it's been good doing we have the New York Heritage site where we have a page on there where we've digitized the yearbooks, and that's been popular for people to view, and digitizing other files. Obviously, there's a lot more to do looking in this room, but that's been good to get some stuff digitized and online.
And how about with like the Sterling Historical Society? Like, what kind of things have you helped them with?
I helped them with grants, technology assistant grants. We've been getting interns. We get money to pay for the interns. They're like Faith Welsh or Kevin Bumble, were two students from Greenport that we got to help out with programs. And we had the Townsend Manor dinner, which is a fun thing to do every year, food event. And then I've just been helping them with trying to organize a lot of the historical documents over there, because they have a great archive, and just trying to help them organize that. And yeah, just enjoying getting to know all the people over there. And
a reminder for everyone to get involved with their local historical society.
Yeah, we need some volunteers over there.
Yeah, there you go.
No, just helping out with different programs for them. Sure. They've had the house tours and the garden tours of old houses there, and just helping people find information about their houses, and that's been the same here, having people come in here and trying to answer the best I can, because that was another thing. I didn't know anything about the history of the area, and it was helpful talking with the historians here, trying to pick up a lot of information over the last 4 years to try to help other people that come in and ask about what they want to know about the history of the area.
Learning about the history while you teach it.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing. But yeah, I mean, you like I said, and like you'll hear for I don't know how long, but you've done a lot here. And yeah, I want to get back to the podcast. What stories, what pieces of advice, what things have stuck with you that you learned from the people of Greenport?
Well, it's hard to
wrap it up, right?
Hard to wrap it up. I just feel, well, I've definitely learned, I feel like over the 2 years or so, just doing the podcast, I was definitely felt rusty and nervous in the beginning, and over time you kind of just, for anyone that does podcasts, you just got to keep doing it, and you'll get more comfortable with it. And I think for the part with the podcast, I wanted to make sure, I think obviously there's different lengths, there's different, if you look at the archive now of the recordings, there's a wide range of lengths from 30 minutes to 3 hours. So I thought that was important to leave, mostly if people felt comfortable with, because it is people sharing their story, and you don't want to censor or edit out their stories. So that's kind of was something that was important with starting it, to kind of leave the lengths. If people wanted, some people found maybe some of them might have been too long, but people can always go back and listen to them.
I think you got a couple part 1, part 2s in there
Yeah,
too.
there's a part one. Yeah.
Well,
what was the question?
Well, I'm sure it's hard to look back at everyone you talk to and say like, oh, this story sticks with me, whatever. But is there anything overall, aside from the technical aspect of running a podcast, doing something, person to person, what are some takeaways you got from the people of Greenport?
Yeah, so just listening to a lot of the people, there's interesting to look back and see some of the overlap of some things, especially for people that grew up here, but also for people because we do have a large population that has come from the city. So there's connections there, and I think just overlapping of people that have lived in different areas or have gone to the same stores or have had similar situations, similar growing up situations in the village, and just people talking about how the village has changed. And you can see a lot of the connections through the 50s, 60s, into the 90s, what people thought of the area. And I feel like you get a good, listening back to some of the podcasts, you get a good idea of how the village was. I particularly think in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, especially in the 80s and 90s, because we had a lot of people on that had moved out here in that time or were just living out here. So that's something I felt like just listening to people, you start to just pick up on the history of the area just by listening. I felt like for me, I just picked up a lot of the history of the area just by listening.
Sure.
To interviewing people. Yeah, and just, I think hearing people's stories, I think it's a good thing to have people share their views and thoughts on the area. I think it shows you how we're all kind of thinking mostly the same way, and we kind of want the best for the community.
But do you personally feel like you've gotten any sage wisdom, sage advice from the people you've talked to?
Oh yeah, I feel like I have seeing people going, well, with me being in my 30s, just seeing people talk about their time in high school, and you can relate to a lot of things, and then what people were doing in their 30s, and then continuing to do in their 70s, 80s, or even 90s, what people have interviewed. So it's gotten a lot of inspiration and wisdom from people that have continued to do things that they love, and they're still in the community, and it just kind of shows you like where you are in life, and that everyone kind of goes through similar things. And
it's sort of, would you say that it's sort of like a hopeful image that you saw talking to these people? Because I feel I'm not trying to make the whole podcast about this, but you look online anytime and things look pretty bleak, no matter how old you are. At every age, people could say, oh, it's over for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But actually sitting down and talking with people that are trying to live their lives, trying to do things every day, you'd say that's an inspiration in itself. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just talking with them and them sharing their stories and all their memories of growing up. And a lot of people have shared they have shared very personal stories too, and just hearing that, and also situations where they might have gone through hard times and made it through that. And I think it's always, you see that people have the perseverance to move through situations. And it's always been there's always great to just, I think the other thing that was important for me is, which I don't know if people have commented about just the listening part, and that I would just make them feel comfortable and listen to them when interrupt them, so to make sure that you want that the interviewer to feel like they're really listening to what you're saying and not just moving on to the next question. So that was another thing I wanted to make people feel comfortable, and I think I was able to get a lot of great stories and information for people to share.
I mean, you do that incredibly well, just in person or even in a customer service, position. So you being here is like the perfect thing where people know that you're listening, and you're very good at that. So, it's interesting, having heard you talk about your previous film project. I feel like you've almost created your own, information castle in a way. Your own.
Yeah. Well, because another thing I didn't mention was working this full-time job. I haven't been able to do as much artwork, but in a way, I don't know if that was what you were saying. Like, this kind of feels like a art project or a project in a way where this is what you're putting your time into, besides just doing like a specific video piece on the side. So something that I found enjoyable in creating this archive and collection.
Yeah. So, listen, Chris. We're doing this interview because you're leaving.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah.
We're all sad to see you go. The people listening, me especially, I'm sure everyone in this building. But as you're moving on to your next thing, what do you think you're going to take away from here? What do you feel like is going to be beneficial to you in your next step? What are you looking forward to? It's hard to talk about things that haven't happened yet, but I'm excited for you, and I'm sure everyone else is. So,
thanks. Yeah.
What are you taking out of here and bringing with you?
Well, just the whole. This is really my first library experience, so I feel like it was an important part of my time here, just having the opportunity to get a job and having people give me the opportunity to work here, and as someone that was brand new out of library school, I appreciate that. And then just with everyone here, the staff and the director giving me the opportunity to explore and branch out and obviously do things in the local history room and then reference and then also getting to know tons of people in the community and their stories. And that was kind of the hardest part, was after you kind of meet all these people and then now you have to moving on to a new opportunity, but it's kind of a bittersweet moment.
Yeah.
Because you get to know everyone, and walking around the village, people see you and say hello. That would be tough. But just gaining all new experience over the last 4 years in local history, archives, and reference, and just helping out throughout the library and all the programming and working with different staff has been great. And obviously making friends like you has been a great experience. And I hope to bring similar things from here to my new position, whether it's working with their historical commission or society, and maybe even do some podcasts there, and hope to improve their adult services area and get to know the community there, just like I've done here. I think that's important as a librarian, to stay connected with the community, not disconnected. And So
I have one last little thing here. Just from Texas to New Orleans to, was it Long Island?
Long Island.
Then Texas again to Montreal to Florida to Maine. Japan somewhere in the mix.
Japan, yeah.
Somewhere in the mix.
Sweden. We got Sweden.
Maine. All the way back to Long Island again.
Yes.
And I think I speak for everybody, the people listening, the people you've interviewed, the people that work with you, that we're all happy that this was a step in your, like I said before, hopscotch around the world. But we're all excited for you. Mm-hmm. Grateful to be part of your chapters. This is one of them, and everyone's excited to see you move on to your next. Yeah. Do you have any a couple of final words, a little goodbye to the?
No, it's been great working here and getting to know the community, and just want to thank everyone for the support and encouragement with the podcast and just with my career. I'll definitely miss the community and people and the library. It's been a special place getting started here and working here. I feel like it's a small library, but like other people say, it packs a punch with what we offer. So proud of what I've been able to accomplish and help improve in the library here in the community, and I'll definitely be back to visit, but just want to thank everyone for the time and helpfulness throughout my time here.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Well, hey, thank you everyone for listening. I'm, happy for Chris, heartbroken at the same time. This is my buddy over here, but stick around for a little final outro from Chris, but I'm going to go ahead and give him an on-mic hug real quick because I'm going to miss my buddy. Come here, man. Oh. We're going to miss you.
Yes. Thank you.
No one's crying. It's okay. But we are sad. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you.
And thank you, Chris.
Well, I hope you enjoyed episode 245. As Ian mentioned, I wanted to just mention a few things at the end of the episode. Over the past 2.5 years, this podcast has been about one simple idea, that everyone has a story worth hearing. And when I first started this project, I hoped it would create a space for people to share their experiences, memories, ideas, and hopes for the future. What I discovered was something much greater, that listening creates connection. It reminds us that behind every person is a history, a journey, and a perspective that we may never have known otherwise. Through these conversations, I've had the privilege of meeting so many remarkable people, artists, historians, community leaders, neighbors, and friends, from longtime residents who've shared their memories of the North Fork to people working to shape its future. Every conversation added another piece to the story of this community. I also want to recognize everyone who has helped make this podcast possible, all of the guests who generously shared their stories, the staff and supporters of the Floyd Memorial Library, and everyone who has helped along the way. I also would like to mention Felix, my dog, who has been a wonderful companion throughout this chapter of my life. And as Studs Terkel believed, everyone has a story worth listening to, and that belief has guided this podcast from the beginning. The act of listening is a powerful thing. It builds understanding, preserves memory, and reminds us of what connects us. Thank you to everyone who sat across from me and shared a piece of their story. Thank you to everyone who listened, supported this project, and helped make these conversations possible. This community trusted me with their stories, welcomed me into their lives, and gave me the opportunity to be part of something much larger than myself. It has been an incredible honor to create the Floyd Memorial Library Podcast and to be part of preserving the voices and stories of this community. I'm Christopher Bianchi. Thank you for listening.